Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. We're going to resume the discussion today about, looks a little funky. Excuse me. The trip to Europe. We're going to talk a little bit more about that today.
Do you want to invest but don't know where to start? Check out the Weeble app, an
Audio. Hey, can you guys hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right. Hey, can you guys hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right. Looks like we're good to go on this end. All right. Can you guys hear me? You guys good? All right. Give me that thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me all right. No landscape today. Should be coming in. Yeah, landscape should be coming in. Yeah, it should be coming in. It started a little bit slower, but we should be good. Yeah, we should be fine. Ah, there you go. Okay. Who is this person? What's going on, me? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Um, Jeff Davis, Jack Gallman, how you doing? Dan McCumber, thanks for being in here. Glad you're here, Sorcerer. And appreciate you guys being here. Yep, it is me, day 2. I've got some photos this time. I told you guys that I would pull some across. I wasn't able to get a lot. I didn't realize I have like 3,000 photos. It's unreal. And I don't want to just do this stupid slideshow the whole time. So I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. So I'll be giving you guys some more time to give me some more time, excuse me, to generate a little bit better um, kind of presentation for you guys. Hey, trust in God first. What's going on? Thank you for being in here. Appreciate you being in here. Oh, it should be in Houston this afternoon. That's only a couple hours away from me. It's too bad it's not a little bit closer. But I do want to do a couple things first. So yesterday there were a couple questions asked. I know there's not a lot of people in here yet because I'm starting like a half hour early. But there are a couple questions, and the questions asked this. Did I see the aqueduct? So hopefully you guys can see this image. And yes, I was actually able to see the aqueduct. So you can see the aqueduct here. Now, the aqueduct is amazing. When you see this, you can see there's a little bit of a kind of a glare. It's because this was taken from our coach. But this thing is unreal, right? And it stretches for thousands of miles. I mean, it's unreal, the aqueduct structure that they have here. And it's still in use today. They still maintain it. They still utilize it. But somebody asked if I had seen the aqueduct, and yeah, here's a really, really good image of the Roman aqueduct. The other thing that I didn't talk about, because I spent 4 days in Italy, was the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is really cool, but it doesn't lean as much as you see. In fact, in some places, you can actually make it look like it's standing up straight. Now, there's a funny story about this picture. The image in this particular one, we were talking about a contest again during this particular item. Hey, Pandy's Candy, how you doing? Thanks for being in here. We had scavenger hunts and we had little things on this store. There were a lot of things to do, and one of them was a photo contest. So I took this selfie and I said, I looked at my wife and I said, hey, I want you to take a photo a little bit wider so that you can see the background, but I want it to look kind of like this, right? So here's the photo she took. Oh, it was hilarious. Didn't quite meet the intent of what I hoped. However, I actually won the photo contest with this. Hey Anthony, how you doing? Thanks for being in here. Appreciate it. It was really cool to do this. Again, it was miscommunication, and then I spelled it miscommunication cone. Right? Miscommunication cone. Um, and it was just kind of an Italian play on the word, but it was a lot of fun. The Leaning Tower of Pisa actually leans about as much as you see here. Now you can do things like make it exaggerate by where you stand, so you can make it look like it leans more than it does. But about a decade ago, there was a small earthquake that actually leaned the tower more, so they've actually straightened it up. From one portion of this, you can actually make it look like it's straight up and down. But again, just a lot of fun. The other place that I talked about yesterday in Italy was at Montemonco or whatever. I totally massacred the name, but the name was actually Montecani. And I wanted to share this photo with you. This is the photo that we took from Monteconti Alto, which was the name of the area. You can see the city down below. And then up at the top of this was where we had our dining experience. And folks, I'm telling you, this was absolutely gorgeous. You can see the little trolley, the little ferry thing as it comes up the hill. It's quite steep. All through this area, you see things like uh, wine groves, and you see different types of like gardens, and there's they grow so much stuff here, it's unreal. But you can see just wineries everywhere. They even have wineries. They even have little wine areas on the turnabouts. So they actually, any place where there's open land, good soil, they have wine areas. They have areas where they grow grapes. It's absolutely amazing. Vineyard was the word I'm looking for. Um, but this view is stellar. This is a killer view that I took of my wife. I'm going to Photoshop this and clean this up a little bit, but it turned out amazing. I really enjoyed this particular view. This was a really cool place. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is an image of it at night. Not going to kind of bore you with it. This is the trolley as we kind of went up that area. But again, I wanted to correct a couple things about this particular area. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't talk about one of our major stops, and one of our major stops was Florence. Now, Florence, Italy is amazing. And if you guys looked at the information that I put in when I was doing the little videos and asking the questions and doing the community page stuff, I asked a question. I'm going to kind of fast forward through some of these. Like I said, there's tons of them, some amazing photos. But what I wanted to get to was this image right here somewhere. There's a ton of these things. It's amazing. Um, and some of the architecture and the embellishments was amazing. What I want to get to is the bridge. Hold on just a second. Like I told you, there's thousands of images. It's unreal. So this is what I was talking about in my post. So if you were watching the post, and I asked various questions because I'm going to be giving something away uh, probably later on during the week. I want to give a couple more people opportunities to comment on these things. This is a little cheat session for that particular item. But this is the Ponte Vecchio. Now, the Ponte Vecchio is an amazing bridge. It's actually full of shops. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And you can see that it's layer upon layer. There's shops all through this bridge. It's absolutely amazing. Hey, AZ, what's going on? Good morning, bud. But the Ponte Vecchio is something that, oh, for some reason, hold on just a second. There we go. For some reason, the other screen was showing up. I don't know why it was doing that. Um, the Ponte Vecchio is a pickpocket heaven, right? So I didn't spend a lot of time on the Ponte Vecchio. A matter of fact, while we were there was an old Italian man who caught a young girl trying to steal from him. and he basically had pinned her down and was waiting until the authorities came up. There was a big to do there. It was kind of crazy. And it's wall to wall people, but it's a huge shopping area. But the really cool thing about the Ponte Vecchio was the Ponte Vecchio was the only bridge in Florence during World War II that wasn't blown up. And you know me, I like a lot of history. I like to talk about these kind of things. And the really cool thing about this was the reason behind it. Now, I asked a lot of people the question, why wasn't this bridge blown up? Hey, good morning, Brown Sugar. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. I asked a lot of people why this wasn't blown up. And a lot of people were like, oh, it's too beautiful to blow up. Well, they disguised it as a building. It was hard to do. And the actual fact, the actual answer behind why this was not blowing up was actually quite surprising to me. And that was because Adolf Hitler said not to. He loved this bridge. He thought it was beautiful. He didn't want it destroyed. And so he made sure that there were no weapon stashes. Inkman78, member for 2 months. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, bud. Thank you for being a member. I definitely do appreciate it. Red, silver, Frosty. I'm going to give up. I was on yesterday for a long drive, and after the gifted membership, I received not a. Oh, red, silver. The problem is that um you can't assign it, right? It's not like I can give something away. So, for instance, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gift 5 memberships right now. Let's see who gets them. It may. So the problem is, and again, when you give these away, they don't necessarily go to, um, yeah, see, I can't choose who gets one. So what I can do is I can see if I can go through and kind of point out, but I don't believe I can actually gift a specific membership. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those things where it just happens. And I know it's frustrating for some people to see the same people over and over and over again get the gifted memberships. Um, I do apologize. I know you're joking and saying it's not in the cards, but sometimes it's very difficult. I get gifted memberships from channels I don't hardly ever go to anymore. So it's kind of just a run of the mill kind of thing. Hopefully you get one. Again, I can gift some more here. I'll actually go ahead and just do another 5. What the hell? We'll see what happens. That's my 5 for the month. So Inglorious Supreme, Kellen. Now, see, again, just one of those things. It's hit or miss. Hopefully you can get one. Yeah, I know, Nada. It's horrible. I apologize. That's 30 gifted memberships and you didn't get one. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully that changes in time. I don't know how it's definitely, or excuse me, how it's distributed. So I do apologize, but it's, I wish it would exactly stand. Yeah, I wish it would prioritize people that are in chat. But I don't know if it prioritizes subscribers or members. Um, I don't know if it gives credence to that. Obviously, if you're already a member, you won't get another membership. I don't know if you've been a past member, if that helps. I just don't understand. So I apologize for that. Hey, old Bill, how you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, it's, oh, you know what, Inkman78, that's another great question. If you haven't accepted gifts on your channel, that you will not get one. That is a great point. Yeah, okay. Just make sure that you've gifted the memberships. I know you were joking, but it can be frustrating. I do understand that. So again, I just wanted to acknowledge that. Yeah, it's actually not a very clean river. Hey, Blistering Barnacles, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for being in here today. Yeah, the water's not necessarily clean. They do dump a lot of stuff in this particular river. It's definitely not one you want to go swimming in. But again, the bridge itself was the point. of interest here. It is a really cool bridge, but again, if you go here, Florence is a gorgeous place. It's absolutely brilliant. There's lots of statuary. There's a lot of amazing sculpture, a lot of these ceilings. The grandeur in some of these places is amazing. When you talk about that, this is one that I want to show. And again, this is another one of those things that I did in trivia. Ask the question: this person, if you live in the Americas, this person has great and significant importance. This is Amerigo Vespucci. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with history, Amerigo Vespucci was the one in which the Americas were named after. A lot of people think Christopher Columbus discovered America. In fact, he did. However, he wasn't credited for it because, hey, Sorcerer Stan gifted 5 more memberships. And again, he didn't get one. That's a bummer. Really is. Michael Stacking, Mr. Bass, Mark Wagstacker, Rick Slick, or Slick Rick, and PETA were gifted those memberships. Thanks, Stan. I appreciate you, brother. But again, Amerigo Vespucci was one of these people who actually understood that what he had seen, where he had been, was not the Indies. It wasn't a coin a card hobbyist, all things silver, Robert Caldwell, Philip the Board, and Crispy Mofo. Yeah, just crazy. I don't understand. That's again 40 gifted memberships in the last 2 days, and for that to not show up, that's just weird. But again, a couple thousand subscribers, it's gonna be hard to do that. Hopefully this corrects. Now I will tell you this. The names that I'm seeing are people who are actively engaged in the channel. I will say that. These are people who are actually on here. I see these people all the time on the streams. So hopefully you're engaging and commenting and liking and doing those things, the videos and stuff like that. But yeah, click on it and see if it allows you to turn that on. You should be able to click and turn on the gifted memberships. You should be able to click on one of the little gifted items. Hopefully it works for you, bud. Sorry, you're not getting it. But Amerigo Vespucci was extremely important, and it's important to understand. Hey, Jim Shank, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. That while Christopher Columbus did hit the Americas, he didn't think he had found a new place. He had actually thought he had made it all the way through and circumnavigated the globe. So he was sorely mistaken. Good. I'm glad to hear it, Jim. It's good to see you. The other thing was when you look at this next one, you see this guy over here. This guy over here is Galileo. And again, to be able to walk through this Hall of Florence and be able to see all these major sculptures, again, you can see Galileo Galilei, to see all these amazing sculptures and know that these people exist and actually get to see their likeness, see what they look like. I found it quite exhilarating to be able to kind of walk through this and go, it's amazing to see the quality of this. Now, we did walk through here. I'm going to kind of jump back here a little bit and show some of these sculptures. Now, some of the detail work in these sculptures were quite exquisite. This lion was amazing. Again, you can see some graffiti over time. Some people have done some damage to the lion, trying to carve things in. They've had to remove some of the graffiti and stuff that was there. Looking at Medusa, you see the slaying here. Again, it's just some of the quality, the detail of the sculptures were amazing. Some of these are originals, some of them are not. All the ones in this particular area were originals, but their ones were like the David that I showed you earlier on. This was just a copy. But again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave Florence and we're going to get back on the road and we're going to get into Rome. Now, Italy, we spent 4 days in Italy. And the Florence was beautiful. Florence was really cool. It was really neat. There was a lot of great history here. There was a lot of Robert Caldwell's gifting 5 memberships as well. Let's see, Jim Shank, Great Scott, Gold Sniping Farmer, Rural Girl. Uh, Still not another one. That's insane. Thank you, Robert Caldwell, for that. I appreciate you gifting 5 memberships. That's awesome of you. Um, I don't know what the deal is, man. Red Silver's like, I quit. I'm done. Hopefully it comes back, but go through, like, comment, subscribe, do some of those things. Um, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, no worries, bud. I appreciate you turning around and sharing the love and gifting additional memberships to people. That's really cool. So I do appreciate the kindness in return. So thank you so much. Um, I really enjoyed the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Leaning Tower of Pisa was really cool. But the thing about the Leaning Tower of Pisa is that once you're there, once you've seen it, once you've done it, it's kind of a done deal. Like it's pretty much over. That's it. However, when you get to places like Florence, when you get to places like Rome, there is so much to see. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And when you look at the structure, when you look at the grandiose size of things, you begin to see, you begin to understand the the scope of what they were able to do. And so when you look, this is one of the little areas we were in. I've got it listed here. No, here's a better photo. Again, they took a lot of obelisks from Egypt. So you'll see lots of obelisks throughout the Roman civilization because they enjoyed the obelisks. And these were items that they took when they claimed territories. So you'll see lots of obelisks here. Again, when I talked about the movie Angels and Demons. In Angels and Demons, they talked about the obelisks. They talked about different items and things of that nature. We seen a lot of those things. Actually, kind of took a little bit of trail to see some of the things as we were in the Vatican, as we were going through Rome. So you'll see little call outs to that movie as I kind of go through here. Hey, Coach, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Thanks for being a member. I appreciate you. Um, but the one thing that I was fascinated about by Italy, actually, not even Italy, Europe in general, were the churches. The churches are amazing. The the detail, the craftsmanship, some of the stuff that you see. And I'm going to scroll in and kind of show you some of the ornateness of the ceilings in some of these cathedrals. And some of them are very small. Some of these cathedrals are tiny. They're not huge. They're not these massively known items, but when you walk in, the detail, like when we were in France, went to the Sacré-Cœur, and it's probably, in my opinion, next to the Vatican, one of the most gorgeous of all the churches. It's unreal. I think the Sacré-Cœur is better than the Sistine Chapel. Just my thing. But I had a mindset of the Sistine Chapel. I had a mindset of what I was expecting. When I looked at the David, I expected it to be this grandiose item in the center of this, and it's not. It's one of a bunch of different murals that are on this particular ceiling. But when you look at it, the architecture, the embellishment, the gold, the inlays, the painting, the quality of the craftsmanship, it's unreal. Now, this is a little bit of out of focus because of the lighting. But again, it's insane to me, some of the quality and the detail. And as we get to some of these, the paintings that are here are unreal. Now, when I talk about the size of these, this is a 2-foot cross. So these things are huge. These are like 7, 8, 9, 10 feet tall and wide. I mean, they're monstrous. And they you don't get a sense of the grandiose nature of some of these items. But when you step outside and you see things like this, now this is probably one of the coolest buildings in Rome. And It was one of those things that I absolutely had to go see. When you look at this is true Roman architecture. I mean, you're seeing the Greek stylization that's here. It's just it's amazing, and this photo turned out so well. Um, but the Parthenon is just it's amazing. It's a Pantheon. Parthenon is in Greece. This is the Pantheon. Um, it's just amazing, and again, to look at the people gives you kind of an idea of the breadth, the scope of the size of these buildings. It's unreal. You see pictures, you see items, you see images of that. You just don't get a glimpse of the amount of time and energy and effort. And when we talk about the wealth of Rome during their peak, you understand when you look at the sculptures, when you look at the ornateness of these buildings, when you look at things like this, the obelisks that are there. There's nothing small in Rome. Rome is massive. Um, and so there's a lot of really cool things. This, excuse me, I apologize. This is a shopping center in Rome. It's unreal. All these areas to the left and to the right, these are all shopping districts. This is a very high end shopping district. But look at the ceiling. I mean, there's nothing in Rome that's small. It's fast, it's huge, it's crazy. But Rome is amazing. There's so much here. This is out of the 9 countries and the 30 some odd cities that we visited on this tour. Rome is a definite place that I would go back to. Um, Florence was nice. It was beautiful. Seen it, done it. I probably could go back and spend a little bit of time, but not a big deal. Paris, you can have Paris. Enjoy it. It's not my cup of tea. I didn't enjoy this. Now, I was asked about this yesterday. This is the Trevi Fountains. I'm going to play this short little thing. Whoops. Um, the Trevi Fountains were amazing. Of course, I have to have a photo of my wife in the Trevi Fountains. But the Trevi Fountains, this is one of the few things. Hey, what's up, Great Scott? Good to see you. Hey, Check Stacker. How you doing? Thanks for being in here. I appreciate you guys. Hey, Streaka. Good grief. Sorry, folks. This is one of the things that I honestly have to say, when I saw it, I was like, wow. The Trevi Fountains is it's grandiose. It is one of those things. Hey, Tiger, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. It's grandiose in a sense of it's a fountain, but it's just beautifully done. The amount of people here, again, the Trevi Fountains is another pickpocketer's paradise. You got to be really careful. It's wall to wall people. And if I go here and I show you, you can see that it goes all the way down. So there's people packed. Now, from the fountain up to the top, it's about 25, 30 feet. And it's wall to wall people. To be able to get down there, my wife got some photos down low. She went down there. I didn't want to go down there. We were carrying a lot of goods. At the Trevi Fountain, somebody actually made a grab for my wife's bag. I smacked his hand. He kind of looked at me, and I just kind of looked at him. He appeared into the crowd. My wife in 2 occasions had somebody reach for her stuff. One of them was on the train in Paris, and one was here at the Trevi Fountains. There could have been other attempts, but these are 2 that we noticed. But the Trevi Fountains are absolutely amazing. But one of the cool things about Rome, one of the cool things about that is that they still have, well, let me step back a little bit. Nero and some of the other major people who built took advantage of situations to build grandiose items. Normal politics, right? So after the great fire that happened, the major fire that happened in Rome, Nero took that opportunity to buy the land and build the Colosseum, right? You know, the hundred games, the 100 years of games, or whatever it is, um, where they had, games every day for however long it was. Those were taken care of by, I told you not to put my channel around. Said, oh, you're funny. Um, Tiger's got jokes. What was really cool about this particular area was that as things would happen, they would build and they would reconstruct. Mussolini, on the other hand, did more to destroy Rome than any one person in the world. Um, Mussolini took down, destroyed a bunch of stuff, but there are some areas here that actually allowed for the protection of certain archives and certain areas through Rome. And so, as we go through some of these areas, you'll see right in the middle of all of this grandiose stuff are bunches of ruins. Now, the guide that took us on this particular tour actually got us down close. So we were actually at ground level. Now, you can't actually walk on the ruins, but next to these monument statues, next to these massive, massive displays of Roman wealth, you see where they used to do the work. You see where the old squares were. You see where you can see some of the architectural elements that were built after the earthquake. These fell down, they put them back up. Um, but a lot of the items in Rome, it's really funny that you see these steps, you see these things, you see these seating arrangements, and they're probably not true. Hey, what's going on, $1 Million Meg? What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Because after the earthquake, things fell over, and as Mussolini came in, wanted to rebuild things and wanted to regrow things, he actually just put stuff together. It was like giant Lego, giant building blocks. And he actually just kind of put some of this stuff together. When you look at some of these items, you can see that they don't meld. You'll see this really well. I'm going to kind of just go through. I've muted all of the videos because everywhere I've done it was just loud and noisy. But you can see how everything, these areas just, they kind of fell over. And so things just kind of landed wherever they were. But the size and the scope of these areas are massive. And I'm not talking, just big as far as size. We're talking about the breadth of this area. So when you look down, you see this grandiose structure. This structure is a half mile away. Like, it's clear across the street, down around the corner. This building here is massive. Um, the most famous, our tour guide had the saying, the two most famous JCs in history were Jesus Christ and Julius Caesar. Um, Julius Caesar's everywhere. You see his influence all throughout Europe, right? It doesn't matter where you go. You see him in Germany, you see him in Amsterdam, you see him in Paris, you see him in London, you see Julius Caesar everywhere. Um, and when you look at some of these statues and architectural embellishments, it's just unreal to look at it. Now, here's the Colosseum. Now, as we saw the Colosseum, and I'm going to kind of get to this image, I want to remind you that during this, that is absolute truth, Red Silver. He was a massive coin collector. Now, I'm going to show you some images that are here in the Colosseum that talks about some of the coinage. I don't think I have them all here. I do have a video that I'm going to be working on. I've got so much to do as far as videos and stuff regarding the coinages of Europe and some of the things that I've been able to see and find, and photos that I were able to take all throughout Europe. But yeah, that's absolutely correct. He was an avid coin collector, and he designed coins not only for himself, for his personal collection, but the aristocracy, right? He encouraged the families to generate their own coin and to share with him. He was really big in it. He was I don't know that he was the first coin collector, but he was definitely one of the avid ones. No, 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 it's fine. Um, I enjoy talking about these kind of things. And again, the best conversation happens when people mention things, right? I learned a long time ago that you can talk about an item and just go and go and go and go and go. But if you're not paying attention to what is happening in the chat, then people don't feel like they're engaged. So don't ever get squirreled, or don't ever worry about me getting squirreled, because it's more a matter of me keeping aware of what's happening in chat and talking to you all, right? This isn't about me. I went there. I experienced this. So if you guys have questions or you guys have comments, please be putting them in chat. I want to be able to answer those questions. Um, the scope and the scale of the Colosseum, um, and I say this sarcastically, was a little bit of a letdown. um, when you see the Colosseum, it's massive, right? Now it's when you're in, you see it, it's huge. You see these items, you see these elements, the columns. These are little pieces of the columns that have fell after they had the earthquake that was there. Again, you see some of the graffiti that's happening here. You can't see it very well. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. You can see some of the graffiti that was done by some of the other artists. They actually did some other of their own works. Some of these were calling their favorite houses. And when I'm talking about houses, uh, it's not something that's kid friendly. Let's just say it that way. But the Colosseum is massive, and I wanted to show you this. There's another image that comes here in just a second, but I wanted to show you this particular image because what you see down here in the bottom is where the gladiators would be. This is where they would lift up, that you see the little items down here where they would lift the lions up into the arena. There's actually an area over here where you can see where they would have the trap doors and they would lift them. You can see how they mirrored the floor. So this used to be a giant wooden floor that covered the entire bottom of this, and then it was covered in sand. Is there anybody in chat who can tell me why they covered the Colosseum floor in sand? It was a wooden floor. Obviously, over the years, it rotted away. But these would have been the areas where they had the little things. They had the armories here. This is where they would show people where their items were going to be. This is where they paired people up. This is where they brought the gladiators from getting all suited up. Soak up the blood. That's exactly right, Tiger. And it was because there was lots of, well, they flooded it with water. That's absolutely true. They did have an area where they flooded this again. That whole area was carted off, and they flooded and actually had an epic naval battle here. That is absolutely true. Hey, Siren, what's going on? Good to see you, my friend. I think you're probably the only person in portrait mode. But the Colosseum was massive, right? And when you look at what was there, but no, it was a correct guess. It was there to soak up the blood. And as you kind of get in, you can see that it's mammoth, and it goes down. Obviously you see the size of the people, and you realize that that's another 30 or 40 people, or 30 or 40 feet below where these people are, because these columns are, 18 to 20 feet tall. And so as you walk around, we got to get down a little bit closer. We got down a little bit closer to ground level, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But the reason that I say sarcastically that it was a little bit of a disappointment was because as you walk through and you see some of the grandiose nature of these items, again, everything's done within the cobblestone. This is what you're walking on. They're not flat, even surfaces. When you get to look at the photos, now you're going to see me down a little bit lower, closer to the ground level here. You can see that in the other image, it looks massive. Well, the reason that it looks so massive is because one was taken with a fisheye lens and the other one was taken in panorama mode. And a lot of the images that you see of the Colosseum are taken in this particular fashion. So when you look at this one, this is panorama, and you can look at, no, I take it back. This one is fisheye. This is the fisheye, and this is the panorama. And when you look at it, this thing looks oblong, it looks oval, and it's not, it's a circle. And you get kind of a better feel for the size of it in this particular view. But the problem that is even in a fisheye view, you see that it looks kind of like an eye, like an iris of an eyeball, right? It's more oblong, it's more oval, and that's not what the Colosseum is. The Colosseum is round. And so as I started to look at this, I started to realize that my viewpoint of the Colosseum, this is where we got down pretty much ground level, got to see kind of the furnaces and where they would do some of the manufacturing of the weapons and stuff. But as you really look at this, you realize that it's not maybe as grandiose as your mind's eye would have it. Much like being at the Sistine Chapel and seeing the Sistine Chapel and thinking that the Michelangelo, the David touching God's finger, or David, yeah, Adam, bleh, touching God's finger was this grandiose image. And it is, it's huge, it's large, but it's not the centerpiece that people make it out to be. When you watch videos and you watch movies and you see this, you think that this is the center, the icon of this, and it's not. It's just not what it is. And so there's a lot of stereotypical beliefs that I had to unravel within myself, and the Colosseum was one of those. It just became one of those things that, yes, it's massive, but it's not quite what was seen in my mind's eye. It doesn't lessen it. The Colosseum is amazing. It's just not quite what I would have expected. And again, from there, we took a little shuttle and we went to what would be my favorite piece of Rome. And that was, hey, Crafty Dragon, good to see you. Was the Vatican. I've been awestruck a time or two in my life, but I was just utterly amazed. This is called Acorn Square, obviously, because there's a giant freaking acorn that adorns the center of this. That acorn is like 8 feet tall. It's massive. Again, nothing small here. It's quite amazing. The detail work that's here. You look at some of the items here. In many places, you can't take photos. And again, you can't take photos in many of the churches because there are epitaphs, there are funeral items that are there. Oh, hey, Crafty, no problem, man. This is, there's a lot of people in the world that won't ever get the opportunity to see this kind of stuff. And it's something that I wanted to share. Now, I didn't want to do the standard slideshow thing. I wanted to kind of walk through. Yeah, exactly, Red Silver. Exactly. The scope, it's unreal. Now when I show you the main part of the Vatican, I'm going to show you kind of a little video. And if you watch my wife, like, wow. My wife was like, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is amazing. Oh my God, look at Venice. Oh my God, check this stuff out. Look at this. Oh my God, it's so amazing. The thing that she said, yeah, join the Navy. Exactly. See the world. The thing that really amazed me. Now, see, when I was in the Navy, I was at the Far East. I went to the other end. I had the opportunity to go to Italy, and I now, looking back, I really wish I would have. but it's amazing, the architecture, the adornments. But these churches are crazy. Now, I want to show you, this is inside the basilica. Now, this is the largest concrete pour ever. Like a single concrete pour. They have a hard time understanding how they did this, right? It's just amazing. Hey, Wolf Metals, how you doing? Good to see you, bud. It's amazing. Now, this is one that I want to show you. Now, the size of this bowl, you can see the size of the people here. This is amazing. Again, the grandiose, yeah, again, yeah, seeing these things because of the military. I did this little video clip and I wanted to share this with you because I want you to see where they used to walk. Like these were the ornateness of their flooring, right? So when they talk about the frescoes, when they talk about what they used to do, it's unreal. And then you kind of pan out and you see the size of the people and then the size of this. It's perfect cereal bowl. It's unreal. The items that you see, but the ceilings, oh my God, the ornateness of the ceilings were crazy. The paintings, the statuaries, the architectural embellishment of these of these areas are just amazing. You look at the masters when you talk about the painting, the masters painting, the yeah, it's crazy when you look at some of the size. Um, it's unreal. Now, I'm going to let this play while I kind of talk about this. This is about a 3-minute video. Now, the reason that I want this to play while I talk is I want you to understand that you're in a room that's about 40 to 50 feet high. It's about 40 feet wide. This is monumental. And what I did is I walked down this long corridor with my camera on my phone pointed at the ceiling. Now, this is me just walking down this area. And as you can see, I'm going to try and make this a little bit bigger. Does that work now? Maybe it moves it too far. Let me do. Stop. That should be a little bit better. I want to give you a little bit of a better feel for some of the size. I think that's a little bit better. I think you should be able to see kind of what's going on in this particular item. But as I continue to walk down this item, as I continue to walk down this corridor, and this is just a corridor, you can see the little flags of all the people. The amount of painting, the masters that are there, the people. Now, Bernini, when he was doing his painting, went blind afterwards, right? There were some of the people that he hated doing some of these things because it cost him his career. It was absolutely amazing to see some of the. No, this isn't half speed. I am walking down the corridor. This is me walking. Now, I'm not running down the corridor. This is me walking. The size and the scope of this particular passageway is unreal. Hey, thanks to Invisible River Ranch. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. There were so many, and I don't want to say no names, but unknown artists. The amount of detail, the amount of creativity. Some of these are fresco, some of these are painting, some of these are tile work, some of these are done with a 3D imaging technique that wouldn't be able to be recreated for 1,000 years. Um, it's when you oh no no play it at half speed. It would take forever. I'm going to be posting these. Again, I've got a video, a couple videos that I'm going to be posting that really kind of talk about the highlights of each section, and then videos like this I'm going to post them singularly and just let people go through them. They can play them. But again, here's the corridor. Now, to show you again, so here's kind of a view. This shows you how long that corridor is, and it showed you the size. Um, that's the art festival area. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll be honest with you. I learned so much stuff. Uh, it's unreal. But it's just the scope and the grandeur of these things was crazy. Now, I took this picture and I placed this picture here because when I walked out of the Vatican, this is what I walked into. Now, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit because it's hiding my chat just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of walk through some of these items. But when I show this particular video, I want you to look down here. Hopefully you see it. You may not see it. I'm going to have to make it a little bit small. That's my wife right here. So I want you to watch her when she's over in the corner. This is one of the things that as I walked in, watch my wife. Wow. Like just like, wow. It's unreal because I wasn't able to speak when I walked in this place. Now, it's not because it was the religious fervor and I felt God's presence and all of that stuff. There's definitely a presence here, but the presence is amazing. You feel small, you feel tiny, you feel insignificant. But when you walk in, this is exactly what you walk into. You walk into the light, right? You walk in and you see the light streaming in. You see these grandiose items. It's just, it's unreal. Um, I'm not anybody who knows me. You guys are all subscribers and members to the channel, so I thank you very much. But you guys know I love to talk. This is not a secret. You guys know I like humor. You guys know I like to joke. You guys know that I like to share these kind of things. I was awestruck. I didn't talk very much when I was in St. Peter's Basilica. It's amazing. I can't tell you when everywhere you look. Now a lot of these things look the same, but they're not. They're different. There's 8 different chapels, I believe, in here. You'll see that there was a mass going on. This is the entrance, right? That doorway is where we came through. You'll see 2 doorways on each side. Those are the doorways. These get opened up during the religious holiday. They'll open the grand door. Just phenomenal. Some of the areas we got to see, we couldn't photograph. This is one area we couldn't photograph. We couldn't actually show anything other than what you see here. They have it cornered off. We weren't able to actually photograph the areas down inside here. The very futuristic area here behind is all work that's being done. You can see all through the Vatican as they prepare for the Holy Year that they have these areas that are cornered off. One thing that they've done really well, you'll see it more so in Germany and Switzerland, is that their scaffolding looks like buildings. Their scaffolding here did not. It was obtrusive. It really blocked a lot of the view. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to clean everything up, detail everything. Rome is old. We're talking a couple thousand years old. So there's a lot of rework and constant maintenance that has to happen to these buildings to make sure that they don't crumble and fall apart. They are old stone structures, so over time, the weight of the structure does bear issues. So there's a lot of reinforcement and things that has to be done. This is the mast that I was talking about. So this is one of them. Um, that you can see this giant area down here. You can't see very well. Let me see if I'll make this a little bit smaller just for this so that you can see. You can see again, you can see the people having mass down below. Try to get this from bouncing all over the place. Give you the best view. Um, yeah, see, that's something that Jim Rush, that's something that I talked about yesterday. When you look at American history, when you look at the Americas history, obviously when you get down into South America, you get the Aztecs and things where they go back many generations. But when you talk about the United States, when you talk about Canada, when you talk about Mexico proper, um, you're talking just hundreds of years of modern history, right? So you're talking uh, uh, just this crazy kind of, yeah, invisible rivers. Human made that. It's insane. The the amount of history they they have buildings that they call new that are older than our country. Yeah, well, this is new, made in 1455. It's like, whoa, uh, uh, really? Um, Many of them during World War II, the buildings were bombed, and so they reconstructed them. Now, obviously, it doesn't. Um, the Vatican wasn't hit. There were some areas that were touched. There were kind of an unwritten rule, an unwritten agreement in certain areas. We'll see this in Germany as well. Um, in that there were a lot of historic sites that weren't bombed. It was an unwritten rule. Unfortunately, um, it wasn't the Germans that went against that. It was actually the English. The English were the ones that actually started bombing civilian targets during World War II. And it was carpet bombing, right? Carpet bombing was, and they were often way off kilter. They weren't bombing the areas that they were supposed to. Um, and a lot of these structures were destroyed all throughout Europe. So some of them had to be rebuilt, some of them had to be remade. Obviously, this was not. This was one of the targets that was on the do not touch list. But again, as you go through, there were a lot of places that were destroyed. There were a lot of buildings, especially throughout Germany, that were destroyed by England in carpet bombing. In turn, when they started to do that, then the Germans ended up doing the same thing with London and stuff like that. And we'll talk a little bit about that when I get back into London. But again, when you look at this particular item here, it's just amazing. Um, you can't you can't imagine the scope of things. Now, I took a lot of photos of stuff just because it's like it's unreal. Um, what got me here? Now, I'm going to show you this. Okay. Now, this photo is a little bit out of focus. Again, the lighting was difficult. This is gold, right? And a lot of people were like, man, they would focus in on the gold piece. But you know what I focused on? The marble. The marble work in this place is unreal. Marble came from all over Italy. And I don't think I included a photo of it. There is all of the white marble came from a very specific area just outside of Florence. And it's high, high, high in the Italian Alps. And when you look at it, it looks like there's snow across the mountain. And it's not. It's actually these marble mines, and they're still being used today. In fact, the Kardashian wedding where they had that giant marble table that's some sort of 40 feet long, 18 feet wide, whatever that giant one was, that was actually taken from that quarry. But a lot of these items, um, they didn't have machines like we know them. They didn't have trains. They had rail systems, but how did they move these things? The grandiose nature of the building blocks, the facades, the marble, the marble. And I apologize for choking. I keep when I was in London the last few days, I some stuff got into my lungs, and it gives me grief every once in a while. So I apologize for coughing so much. This was one of the highlights. Now, uh, Frosty, I'm weird, right? You know me. I'm a little eclectic. This was a bucket list item for me. Now, I asked to take a picture, and they said no. Yes, exactly. A visible river ranch. They did it very slowly. Um, but these folks are the cream of the crop when it comes to um, the military, the people who guard the Pope and the Vatican. This is the Swiss Guard. Now, these are their uniforms. They are very clean cut. These are the top of the top. They are amazing. I asked, like I said, excuse me, I asked to get a photo. Very politely said no. Now, you could go talk to one of the other guards that wasn't on post. I did get a photo with the Swiss Guard. I'm just standing 20 feet away. Because again, just like when you're talking with the guards on the horse, they'll tell you, you can stand close to us, but don't touch the reins, don't touch the armor, don't, be very careful. When they're at post, they're at post. They're no business. This is a very, very, amazing. These are their weapons. Now, granted, they are very adept at using them, but this is what they carry around. It's not just symbolic. They know how to wield them. They're phenomenally talented. Again, cream of the crop. And this was a bucket list item. When we were going through security, I was not able to take photos or video of 3 areas inside the Vatican. One of them, I actually asked him if I could take a photo of him standing at his post. He could speak. He was doing the metal detecting, as you had to walk through this area. There were 2 levels of security to get into this one area. Normally, it's cornered off. It's reserved for the religious clergy. It's a very beautiful corridor that leads you out into St. Peter's Square. And he's like, no, you can't take photos here at all. If somebody pulls out their phone, we actually will ask them to delete anything that they take. We'll actually ask them to view their photos. And when they delete the photos, they had one lady, they stopped, deleted the photos. They actually went into the deleted items and cleared all of her deleted photos. They didn't just clear the one. So they take this very seriously because they are the protectors of a religious area, right? It's not just that they're on guard. They are there to do that. Now, I know a lot of people say that that's harsh, but people take photos and then delete them and say it's gone, and then they post them later. In the Vatican, you can be fined even if you post stuff after the fact. They can fine you, and some of the fines are extremely steep. And so they have laws, right? You have to remember that the Vatican is its own sovereign nation inside the city of Rome. It's not just a city. It is its own sovereign nation. And so they have very specific laws and very specific rules that you must abide by. Again, as I told you yesterday, as we were going through the Sistine Chapel, they kicked everybody out. everybody was being too noisy. They kept saying, "Hey, shush," like they come over the intercom. Shh, hey, this is a religious place. And they finally said everybody has to leave, and they kicked everybody out. They kicked all the groups out. People have to remember that the Vatican is a religious entity. It is a religious state. And so, yeah, I don't think he gets a lot of sun. I don't think he sunbathes a lot. They take their job very, very seriously, just like the London Guard, the King's Guard. They are very staunch. We have the same thing for the forces that protect the president, those that stand watch outside of the White House, those who participate or stand guard on Air Force One. Again, cream of the crop. It's a very specific, very honorable duty. Again, the Basilica now. Well, give me a second. Let me take a drink. This is a reference. Can anybody tell me what this reference is in referral to? First person gets a coin from my travels. What is this picture referencing? I told you that I had done something along my journeys, along my walks. And this is one of the photos that I took of that. The north wind. Yes, it is the north wind. But what does this particular item reference? And you had to listen to what I said both yesterday and today. I walked a very specific trail. It is the wind. It is in reference to cinema. Give you one more clue. ATS. He's not sneezing. These are around the obelisk. They point all the directions. It's actually a giant clock that actually points. And so as the sun changes, you can see it move to certain areas. So I took this particular photo. I walked the Rose Line. I did walk the Rose Line, and you're close. It was in relation to angels and demons. There you go. Starika just got it. Good job. Starika, send me an email. I've got something I'm going to send you. Angels and demons. Now, I know that the movie itself is a farce. However, I wanted to see certain things that were in the movie. Again, a lot of stuff, you talk about these things in a lot of movies nowadays, it's AI generated. And I wanted to see if these things were real, if they were actually there. So I wanted to walk to certain items. So I was able to see the fountain that you can do. Here you'll see the obelisk. Around the obelisk, you'll see all of these particular items. You'll see the fountain. The fountain here is actually, yes, I agree, Wolf Metals. The book is way better. They don't take as much liberty. They take too much liberty in the movie, artistic liberty. But this is the fountain where the priest was dumped in at the very end, the one priest that they were able to save. But again, this is the north wind. This is when they were standing there. And again, this is where they landed. The helicopter went up and did all that stuff. But the north wind is also a tale that we left the Rome adventure. So here is where we departed France and went on our departed Rome, and went on our next journey. Now, folks, I told you there were 4 places I would go back to. Rome is definitely one of them. Switzerland, any place in Switzerland is a go-to. I loved Switzerland. Fabulous country. Breathtaking. Saw the Swiss Alps. Another bucket list item for me was to get to stand on a glacier atop the world. Absolutely phenomenal. But one of the other ones for me was to go here. Now, again, you have to have a picture of yourself or it didn't happen, right? So as you walk through this, you're going to see some amazing, amazing items. And this is some of the tour members that we were with. But as I go through this, bet you'll see stuff you didn't see the first time. Oh, ATS. I have seen stuff in the photos that I took. I was like, where was that? I didn't even remember it. And this is one place that you're going to see a lot of that. Look very closely at some of these. Yesterday we talked about, did you see any underpants? You'll see laundry hanging from areas down at the very end. You'll see like little areas where people hang their clothing. Clothing here is something that just happened. These are the narrow corridors, the narrow walkways. Um, yes, the Da Vinci Code. Yes, it's in both. Or you're right, it is the Da Vinci Code. I'm sorry, it is the Da Vinci Code. I got the two messed up. The fountain was there, but they used that's correct. Thanks, Wolf Metals. I appreciate you correcting me on that. But this is one of the narrow corridors of my favorite place in all of Italy, and that was Venice. Um, Venice, oh my God, Venice was amazing. Again, scaffolding everywhere. You see the scaffolding here. Venice, Venice comes in two parts. A lot of people don't realize that Venice comes in two parts. It's actually way more than that. There's many islands to Venice. There's I can't even tell you how many islands are in that. But there's two primary states. There's the primary island of Venice, and then there's the land item on Venice. And we actually stayed in the hotel. We actually stayed at the land area in Venice. And it was neat. But one thing that I did throughout my tour, and if you're interested in this, I'll post some of these, is I wear a Garmin watch. And so when we did our tours, I would start the Garmin watch. And as we walked through Paris and as we walked through Rome and as we walked through Switzerland, it would record where we were at. So you actually get to see the trails. And I'll be posting some of those. Venice was amazing. And I toured from the time we left our debarkation area to the time that we arrived back. I left that thing on the entire time. So you have the tram ride in, you have the ferry with the water taxis, you have the walking tours that we did, the gondola ride, everything. And it was amazing. Venice is very narrow. the the streets are again just it's unreal. Mussolini did a lot in Venice to kind of jack with the city, so to speak. Tried to recreate some things and change some things up. Mussolini did a lot in Italy that after during the war that caused a lot of issues historically. Um, but it's unreal to see the amount of history. Now, the way we tackled this is we only had like 4 or 5 hours in Venice. We didn't have very long. And we tackled it by basically getting lost in the city. We walked the city. We walked through the corridors, checked out some stuff, and just kind of just walked around to figure out what we were doing and what we were seeing and kind of figure out how we needed to go to get to where we needed to get, how we had to get to where we needed to pick up the gondola ride, where we needed to go to eat, where we needed to go to pick up the river taxi to get back to the long tram ride back to our hotel. And it was just amazing. And again, I take a picture of myself because if you didn't take it, you weren't there. But yeah, it was. But again, here you have to see it both ways. And I'll explain as I get through here. But the narrow corridors, and it's insane. So you'll be walking through these little corridors. And again, I'm sorry it's so small. I know it's a giant image, but as you kind of walk through, so you walk in this little corridor and then you walk into this just gigantic square, right? And I'll see you later, ATS. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for coming in and spending some time with me. But as you walk through here, just see some of these grand areas. So you're walking through all these small, itty bitty, tiny corridors. And you see these little small facades of buildings. Now, here's a really interesting piece of trivia for you. In Venice, they got taxed on the size of the front of their domicile. So you'll see building, and you'll see this throughout Amsterdam. You'll see the same thing. They look like they're very, very small, tightly compacted together. But when you get in, they opened up. And the reason for this was because they were taxed on the amount of space the outside of their home took, not the back of their house, the front of their house. So you'll see these all tightly packed together, but as they go back, it gets bigger. So when you look at the streets, when you look, you'll see all these roads, and the streets aren't straight parallel with each other. They're kind of angled because the buildings get bigger towards the back than they do at the front, and they butt against each other. So you'll get two streets that kind of touch up against, and you have this narrow alleyway, and it's covered by an arch because the buildings basically touch each other. Um, so understanding some of the things that happened here and how they built things and how they were taxed and the monetary system back in that time frame and trade and how they did all things. It's just Venice is amazing. Like Venice is utterly amazing. And as you go through, you can see the gold gilding and the stuff that happens. Now, many places throughout Europe, the places you see gold is not gold anymore. Um, when you see pictures when you see pictures that I took in Versailles, anything that's behind glass is gold. Anything that's not is a painted gold. When you see pictures like Big Ben, it's all painted. When you see pictures like this, all that stuff up top is has been retouched up. Some of it is gold, some of it is not. So you really have to kind of know and listen to the guides talking about what's there and what isn't. A lot of the statuary that's atop, when you look at like the adornment here at the top, the eagle, the angel's wings are in fact gold, but this is actually painted gold. This is not actual real gold because of um, looting and things that have happened over time. A lot of those things were just done away with, and people just stole the gold. But as you walk into these areas, you can just see again, me and my wife. Um, Again, I did a lot of landscape issues to kind of give you an idea of the scope of this particular square. Now, the next photo, the next video, I guess I should say, that I'm going to share with you actually walks you through, and you actually get to see when you walk out of the corridor and you actually stand in this. It's a 360-degree view. Um, oh man, the gondolas were so amazing. Yes, I took my wife on a gondola ride. We did get to do this. This was actually part of the tour. The gondolier called us idiots because as my wife stepped in, she touched the horse, and as the other lady got into the gondola, she touched the horse. And you're not supposed to touch the horses. The horses are the sacred embodiment of Venice, the sign of Venice. The flag is a horse; it's a steed, and so you don't touch it. But he was like, "You freaking idiot!" And we knew enough to understand that's what he was calling us. But here's what I'm talking about. So as we kind of walk through, so you walk through, and you have all these really neat tile inlaid. Again, all this is marble. Old, you see these old statuary columns, but you walk into these halls and then you walk into this grandiose square. Now, again, I try to do the best I can. I have an intent of recording this so that you can see this 360-degree view. You're going to see a lot of people that we were walking with and see a lot of the people that we were with. Now, the red umbrella, that's an expat thing. That is our tour guide, Peter, and he did that so people knew where we were at. We knew who the people were with. Absolutely amazing to see the size and the grandeur of this. That clock tower is huge. All them checkers gave you vertical. I'm sorry. Now the masks. Okay, this is my wife. And we have the masks. So a question is, what are the masks? What is the big thing that happened in Venice? Again, this can happen. Still to this day, it still happens to this day. They're very loving people. And during something called Carnival, the Carnival happens at various places throughout the world. They wear masks, and these masks are extremely important. They are done very well. They're very expensive. You can have some that are very simple, like this one, or you can have some that are very ornately done. We saw one in a jewelry diamond center, that was it was behind photoreflective glass. So when you went to take a photo of it, you didn't actually see the item behind it, which is really cool. I wish I could have learned how to take a photo of that, but you could see through it, but the photo would reflect what was behind you. Um, and they were diamond inlaid. They were mother of pearl. It was something like a $30,000 mask. Hey, Tiger just gifted 10 more gift memberships. Thank you so much for that, Tiger. Okay, so did he get one? Did he get one? Come on, come on. Let's see him. Let's see him. Dude. Oh, again, he didn't get another gifted membership. That's horrible. Wolf Metals, John Wolf, Jerry Parker, Invisible River, Lori Camastera, Charles Latre, Otis, Papa York, John Chum, Adam Hartman, and Coin Dude. We're all gifted memberships by Tiger. Thanks, Tiger. I appreciate you, brother. I do appreciate your generosity to the channel. Seriously, that's great. Somebody needs to throw a $5 super chat up though, and not Rockzilla off of the sheet because she's just hanging on by a thread. Is Stan still here? Stan, get your name up in lights. Throw that $5 super chat up there before somebody else does it. Oh, okay. Threw out more. Let's see. Mad Stacker, Ant Marching, Gamble Dog, Second Chance, Angry Warrior, Mark the Silver Bro, Yoxnev. Oh my God, he still didn't get another one. Nuts, Chocolates, and Kansas Stacker. Wow. Tiger, thank you for your generosity. That's 20 gifted memberships. That's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. But again, let's get back to the masks and Carnival. So there is a thing about Carnival. Now, again, this is kid friendly, so I won't really get to, he's going to do it again. He's going to make sure that they get one. Hey, you're crazy, brother. I appreciate you a ton. Chris G, member for 3 months. Thanks for being a member, Chris. I appreciate you. Thanks for being a member. I appreciate you being a Planchet member. Bam! Look at that. Chris G just knocked off Rockzilla. Chris G just got the boss. So Chris G is on the boss level. So congratulations, Chris. Now somebody has to knock you off. So now your name is going to be up there until somebody throws you up there. But again, Tiger, thank you so much for the support and all the gifted memberships. I appreciate you, brother. So the masks in Venice. Now they were done to allow people one night of, I'm going to do it again, but I asked Chas to hold off until the guy Frosty. Oh, oh, Tiger, that could be a long time, dude. Yeah, that's gonna be, that could be a long time, man. Yeah, I appreciate that though. But thanks for the $10 super chat as well. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's bound and determined to get Red Silver a membership. But the masks were the one. Oh my God, here he goes again. Greg, Chris, Avian, Perry Custom Cards, Skin Cat, Andrew Northwest Coins, North Flicker Woods, Mia, Dan Renee. Oh, you know what, Tiger? We got to make sure that Red Silver has gifted gifts turned on. If he doesn't have gifts turned on, he's not going to get one. He's got to confirm first that he's got that turned on, because otherwise you're going to be throwing it to the wind. No, he's not going to get it. But I definitely do appreciate all the channel support. That's a lot of love being thrown out right there. So I do appreciate you. But anyway, the masks, let's get back to the masks. They were the one night of anonymousness. You could take somebody home, and it didn't matter. That is still something that happens today. So in Carnival, you can grab somebody and, go do your thing, and they wear the masks, and that's what it is. So you don't know who you're with. You could be with royalty. You could be with a duke, a duchess. You could be with some lowly pauper. So that was one of the things during Carnival that was kind of the the thing that everybody was equal during that time frame, and the person behind the mask was the one who got to experience somebody. They didn't know necessarily who it was. I share this picture and I cut my wife's face out of the side of it. Again, this is the square to kind of show you what happens when you take a panorama view. It morphs it. So again, when you see a lot of these photos, you see a lot of these fisheye things. Remember that when you're seeing these, the grandiose size of these is real. But I wanted to take this one because the square does not look that way. It doesn't bend. It's actually a square. Um, Now, this is one of the most famous, fabulous buildings that I seen while I was in Venice. Now, the reason that I like this one so well is that as we were taking the river taxi to leave Venice, we were getting ready to head back. We were on our way back to the hotel. We got to take the river taxi cruise during sunset. So we got to see these beautiful areas. You see these fabulous bridges all through here. Yeah, this is with a phone. It's not a camera. You're right. Um, Now, I will say that I did take a lot of things on my GoPro. So I have a lot of video on a much better platform, but I haven't even begun to download those yet. Again, all of those videos and stuff will be posted later on. I'm going to throw them in my European travel log, and they're just going to get dumped in there as I do some edits. I'll put them to music so you don't have to listen to all the chitter chatter. But this one, this building, as we were going down this river taxi, the sunset hit this particular building, and oh my God, it was amazing. This building just sprung to life, and it just jumped out of the Venetian uh, landscape. I mean, it just jumped out. It was there, just boom. And as soon as you passed it, it was gone. And you saw it and it looked right. It was very pretty. But as we were taking these shots, this one building just blew up, and it was absolutely fabulous. And again, we took the little river taxi back, and we went back and did our journey, arrived back at night, and then we continued. Just absolutely fabulous. Venice is a place that we will go back to. My wife and I will go back to Venice. This is a done deal. We've already talked about it. This is that we do. Not sure when, but it will happen in time. Leaving Venice, we cross into Austria and Germany. Now, folks, one thing that I've always wanted to do in my lifetime, one of my bucket list items, was to do, hey, Copper Coins, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. One of the, I wonder if that's Eric or if that's Chuck. Um, One of the things I've always wanted to do, another bucket list, I'm telling you, like 8 of my bucket list items were met. Oh, that's Eric. I see the oops. Um, was to see the castles along the Rhine River Valley in Belgium and Brussels and through Germany and the Rhine River, and just see the whole area, all the castles. Castles dot so much of that particular river valley, all the way through Austria. Absolutely phenomenal. Hey, Eric, good to see you, bud. Um, if you want to come up, you can come up and just chit chat. I'm still here. Um, you're more than welcome to come up, or you can just sit, listen, and kind of watch the talk. Um, but this was one of the areas that I was really looking forward to. And I was looking forward to it for a couple different reasons. One, I wanted to see the castles. Steve, looking for silver. What's going on? Baking around. Thanks for coming in, brother. I appreciate you and all the support of the my channel. I definitely appreciate you always calling me out, and I do appreciate you more than you know, Steve. Thank you so much. Again, Meg, same thing. You know, I love you, my friend. But you guys call my channel out all the time, and I want to thank you so much for the support that you guys offer me. So thank you. But when we get into Germany, excuse me, when we get into Germany, we get into Austria, castles and amazing churches were everywhere. And the one thing that really got me about this particular area is the vineyards. The vineyards were one of these things where they grow vineyards everywhere. Like I said, they're on the roundabouts. Any place that they can grow grapes, they're going to do it. And oh, Grimrush, however you say that. Thanks for coming in and joining. I appreciate you coming in. If you're not a subscriber, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like on your way out. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much for being in here and for listening to the trip. Again, there's going to be so much other stuff put on this. Next week, I'm going to get back into coins, talk more about the coins and stuff, and get back into that. They'll still be Europe based because I want to talk about a specific item, but we'll start getting back into the numismatic and talking about that history of coins and things like that. So, but thank you so much for coming in and spending the time with us. Yes, Deutschland, but absolutely fabulous. And another thing that I did, hey, pistol packing pilot, yes, I am back. I took a lot of pictures of signs, and I did that so that I would know where I was, where I had been. We got to go on the Autobahn, seen a couple really cool cars flying. Unfortunately, it was raining as we were heading through these areas, so we didn't get to see a lot of the really, really high speed vehicles. There's a very unfortunate thing that happened on our trip. I'm not going to share that here because it was very sad. There was a significant accident that we witnessed where a family of three was crushed in between two semi trucks. The child survived, the two parents did not. It was very, very sad. And that was when we were in Italy. But again, just as a reminder that bad things happen everywhere in the world. And it was a very sad moment for us to learn that that mother and father had died, and that the child did survive. But I'll post that video. I'm going to put a warning ahead of it because the carnage that you see it's unreal. But we did get to see the Autobahn. But the castles, oh my God, the castles and the vineyards were absolutely phenomenal. Right next to the road, a lot of the castles are done. They're privately owned now. Some of the churches own them. Some of them are private ownership. Some of them are owned by specific. Yeah, pistol packing pilot. That's true. I do want to tell you that our pilot had a little bit of a sense of humor. I'll tell you about that. Tell you a little bit about that one. When we were coming back into to Charlotte, North Carolina, we had some pretty strong winds, and he was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can land this thing." He was just joking with. It was kind of funny. I wish I would have been recording it because that was hilarious. But again, show a lot of the areas and some of the items that we were in. Of course, when we were in Germany, we had to have the schnitzel and the beer. So again, we had the wine, the schnitzel, of the beer, all through the areas. But the castles were everywhere, and they were amazing. Some of the photos aren't very good. Again, a lot of the stuff was taken with my phone. But one of the stops that we made was in Munich. Now, Munich was really cool. Now, the city of Munich, we only had a couple hours in Munich. And the primary purpose for us to go to Munich was so we could see, that the group could see the Glockenspiel. Now, I've already posted the video of the Glockenspiel. Oh yeah, it was freaking hilarious. People are like, what did he say? It was hilarious. He's like, I'm just kidding, folks. Little humor to break the tension because we had a lot of turbulence, and he was just trying to get people to laugh. It was a great flight, but he had a little bit of humor, so that was funny. But the one thing that I'll remember in Munich is we had a crazy, crazy thunderstorm hit us while we were there, almost the entire time that we were there. Um, so we arrived, it started raining. We got to the farthest point on our walking tour, and it just came down like mad. But if you look all through here, you'll see that they have these little awnings, and these little awnings go all the way through um, different areas. And it's so people can stand against the buildings when it's raining so that they don't get wet. Again, this was Peter, our tour guide. Munich was really cool. Again, the church is the grandiose. Inside this church is presumed to have the footprint of Satan. It's the it's one of the many things. Like there's so much blood of Jesus in these churches across Europe that he had something like 30 quarts of blood or something like that. It's crazy. Um, there's like enough shards of the cross to make three of them. It's funny, all the religious relics that are throughout Europe, but the churches are amazing and they're absolutely fabulous. Oops, what happened? Oh man, hold on. Let me get back out. I got to get back to the bottom of this. I pulled a Frosty. Oh no, we're in. So we're not there. Hold on. So here we go. This is the Glockenspiel. So this is Munich, and so this Glockenspiel is amazing. Now, a Glockenspiel is like what you would say. It's not a cuckoo clock, right? A lot of people think that a Glockenspiel is a cuckoo clock. They're close to the same, but they're not quite. But what happens is there's a lot of movement inside this item. And for about 7 minutes, when this hits 5 o'clock Munich time, this goes off. And for about 5 or 6 minutes, the whole story of Munich and this royal family unfurls. And it's a really, really neat item. Now, I don't know if I have a closer image. Nope, I do not. But again, the architecture here is fabulous. If you haven't seen the little video of the Glockenspiel, go check that out. It was really, really cool to see that. The amount of craftsmanship, German engineering is amazing. But again, as you just walk through and you kind of see this, it was absolutely fabulous, right? To see some of these items. Again, walking through, you see the little areas here. These little awnings are everywhere. They have these little areas where you can get out of the rain. Just fabulous, fabulous place. While we were in Munich, we went to a beer hall. Now, this beer hall, oh, yeah, it was fabulous. This is a regular size beer. Again, you didn't do it. You didn't take a photo of it. You didn't do it. But this beer hall was amazing. Now, we had a really cool steak. Potatoes were kind of weird. Obviously, we had sauerkraut with our meal. Had a really cool German dessert. And then this, oh no, yeah, this was our group. So this was our party. This is the party that we toured with. A lot of really neat people. There were countries, United States, Western Australia, Germany, India, Trinidad and Tobago was there. Who else? There were a couple other places. Scotland was there. Queensland, Perth, Australia. There were a lot of different places from a lot of regions across the globe in our group. Our group consisted of about 47 people. There were two people who we kind of connected with really well. Their name's Ian and Sharon. You'll see a picture of them when I go over Amsterdam or the Netherlands. I kind of talk about that. But it's just fabulous to kind of sit and talk about it. This was a relatively small beer hall. Now, this was only one of the 19 rooms that were there, and this beer hall sat about 2 to 3,000 people. The beer hall for I think it was Amstel, the beer hall seats 10,000 people. Absolutely massive. When you look at it, the outside, it looks like a shopping mall. It's actually just a single beer hall. Um, just absolutely fabulous. But again, the churches and the castles and things that were had all through Austria, uh, Bavaria, Germany, just amazing. And again, vineyards everywhere. Now, good grief. Sorry about that, folks. The one thing that I thought was really cool about this is not only do you see these vineyards, um, I am a huge Riesling fan. I love German Riesling. And so this was another one of the major reasons I was looking forward to getting to Germany was to have some Riesling. So I brought a couple of bottles of Riesling home from the town that we were in Brugg. Absolutely fabulous. Um, but again, when you're looking at these castles, again, you have castles that were on the river. So this is actually a castle that had a moat, looked like a ship that was on the front. Um, the only way to get this was you had to dock on the little island that was behind it and walk into the back of the castle. Um, just fabulous engineering. You've seen castles all strung through the mountainside. About every mile or so, you'll see a castle, depending upon how long the corridor is for that particular um, reign, like that knight, that duke, or that knight, or whomever, that lord, however much area they had, they covered that, garnished that section of the river. They imposed their tax and did that kind of item area. I think I'm losing my audio. Hold on just a second. There we go. Is that better? Okay. My audio cut out for just a minute. Jenny, sweetheart, how many states have you traveled? States or countries? Are we talking about my journey here, or are we talking about United States? Give me a clarifier on that and I'll let you know. Because I've been to probably 35 of the 50 states, maybe 36 of the states, and I've been to like 15, 16 different countries on 4 different continents. Yeah, about 35, 36 states. Now, this is something that I wanted to show you because this is something that I found extremely fascinating. Now, one thing about this that I think is really cool is the fact that this is not a castle. This is a railway tunnel. And what happened was earlier I talked about the unspoken agreement about preserving historic sites and castles and things like that throughout Austria, Bavaria, Germany, Poland, Switzerland, Sweden, all of those areas, right? All of that area, Brussels, all that area has castles. And there was so much history. There was an unwritten agreement during World War II that they wouldn't attack the castles. Now, the Germans utilized this to their advantage and would take the castles of their places because they knew they wouldn't be bombed. That's why a lot of those like missions and stuff like that, they had to send teams in to fight them instead of actually bombing them out of the castles. There was an unwritten agreement. And the reason that this particular set of railway has castle-esque features is because as they were mapping out, they look like castles, so they wouldn't bomb them. So the intent or the purpose behind them doing this was to alleviate the Allies from bombing the infrastructure of the rail system that benefited both the Allies and the Axis powers, depending upon where they were at during the war. Hey, what's going on, Teach? Thanks for coming in, bud. Appreciate you. So I found this really fascinating to be able to see that the engineering, the ideas would be to make this look like a castle, prevent it being bombed. A lot of great history throughout this area. Now, this area was Brunn. This was in uh, a fabulous area. Again, doing a lot of little kind of photo style things, trying to get some good photos of some of the castles that were here. I really like this one. It turned out really nice. You see the castle up here. You'll see multiple images of this castle because I absolutely love this, but I wanted to do a really nice one with the flowers framed in. This castle was one of the biggest ones in this particular area in which we stayed in. And again, just these two castles were fabulous. Now, while we were there, we did kind of a little river tour. And so I did these kind of little documentary style recordings so that I could play and put music and put little verbiage things. These are things that are going to be coming up periodically as I do the various edits that I'm going to be doing with the other videos that I'm going to be posting here over the next couple weeks. Again, I have so much content. It's unreal. Oops, that's Pisa. So I'm back to the beginning. And that's about all I have as far as photos that I've been able to download and kind of put up into today. Again, there's so many. This only takes me through Germany. I mean, we don't even finish Germany. I still have, let me see if I can do, I'll put myself here. If I can pull up a couple other items real quick. If the trip was amazing, folks. I can't even begin to fathom how much was there and what we seen. I've got, if I got some Amsterdam that I need to do. Yeah, I haven't really kind of dug through these. I wanted to show you one photo of a really cool shop, and I'm going to see if I can find it real fast. We got to go into this one shop and look at cuckoo clocks, where they actually made cuckoo clocks. They're specifically designed for that town, and they're absolutely fabulous. The lady who's there did a really cool tour. I've got that saved. I'm going to share that. We did a really neat cruise of the area. I just want to find, here we go. This is the cuckoo clock shop. Now, outside of this shop, trying to see if you can see. Nope, I don't have them downloaded yet. But this cuckoo clock here is the world's largest cuckoo clock, freestanding cuckoo clock, and it's right outside of this shop. Now, they do steins. Now, I did pick up a stein. I'll be sending a photo of that, posting that later. But this is the world's largest freestanding cuckoo clock. It's absolutely amazing. It does go off every hour. It's got a really unique sound to it. But this was specifically built for this shop. It's quite amazing. But the amount of detail in the cuckoo clocks, they talked about some of the old ones where they would have the whistles, they would create the whistles, and then they were done by having a little paper baffle. And the paper baffle, as it went through, this little lever would drop, lift the baffle. The lever would be released. It would push the baffle down, and you'd get the kind of whistle sound. I can't do that sound. And that's how you would get the historic sound of the cuckoo clock. So I'll be sharing that as well. Just really, really cool. It was kind of, again, I can't tell you how amazing some of the items were. And I've got so many images that, again, just looking through the castles, again, some of the stuff that was seen, trying to go through, I'm trying to find some specific ones Let me get to another location. Move this out of the way because there's so much again, there's so much. What I don't want to do is I don't want to just be showing you. Here's another one. So when I was talking about the cliffs and how steep um, their vineyards are, this is taken from the side of the road. So they go to almost a 65-degree um, angle. It's unreal the angle that these grapes grow on. It's absolutely fabulous. You can see the little towns. They list the little names of the towns there. They have the little walls that are there. They tell you the wineries and stuff. But again, absolutely fabulous. I'm going to kind of stop going through this at this point. I'm not going to show any more photos. I kind of went through a bunch. I'm going to be doing way more when it comes to sharing information and providing you guys more. Um, but that's 2 hours of kind of going through some of the items that were there, what was seen, just the history. I'm amazed to see the history, just the thousands of years, to look at the way that people live, to see the non BS, the matter of fact way of living in some of these countries. Two places that were really cool were the Netherlands, where I got to make a clog. I don't actually have that. Let me see if I can. Oh nope, it's not going to work. Um, the um, the amazing part of seeing some of these things, of seeing how people build things and how things were created. You got to see the old Netherlandian shoe or the Denmark wooden shoe, right? We got to see how that was created. I actually got to make one. Well, kind of. Got to see. But what I found fascinating about being able to make one of those shoes, and I do have it, they put Frostbyte on it. They did some engraving for me, and I have that, and I'll show you guys some of that as you know as time progresses. I again, I I'm, I'm tired of talking. Um, there's so much there. There's so many cool things. There's so many cool experiences. But when you're talking about numismatics and you're talking about coins, they use a piece of technology that is very similar to what was utilized to create dies of old. And so what they would do is they would make a model of the shoe, and then they would put this on a lathe, and then they would have the device travel down the model of the shoe, and it will carve the wood to that shape of shoe. They can put large shoes, small shoes, they can do whatever they want to, and it models that. And it exact same technology as you would have when they would take one of the plates, the giant plates that they would do the carvings in, and they would utilize that. And then they would go around, and then on the other side, where you would have the actual master hub or master die, um, it would etch in those details, right? You get those concentric circles as that's going over the plate. You will see it, and it would carve in that master hub. And it's the same basic technology, just done in Holland, or excuse me, in the Netherlands for shoe design. And so it was cool to see that same general technology being utilized in a different item, and be able to talk to the gentleman about that and say, you know, actually they utilized this back in the old days for designing coins. And so they would make a clay model of the coin, they would design it, and then they would run this piece, and then they would create the master hub that would stamp the coins. And he was fascinated that that same technology was utilized, and actually went back, and I got to talk to him about it afterwards. But in this same shop, and I'll show you, see photos of the cheese. We got to do a cheese making, cheese taking, tasting tour. That was really cool. Talked about the new cheeses to the old cheese like Parmesan, and how the ages and what happens to the size of the cheese. Hey, vote for Pedro. What's going on, brother? Yeah, the vacation was amazing. Happy to be back. It's good to be home, ready to leave again. Uh, I love being home, but Europe was amazing. My wife and have some talking to about retirement, um, about some of the places we're going to be and move and live and so. But yeah, Europe. I'll be back in Europe. That's a definite. But it was just amazing to see some of the technologies that were utilized and how the things that we love in this hobby, the coins and how they used to make those dies and how those same basic premises are utilized. Talk to them about coins and look at some of the wood engraving. And they have these girls and they freehand all the really cool engraving. Um, they do all sorts of different things. And because of technology, a lot of the old historical things have been alleviated, so they don't use the wooden shoes as much as they used to. Um, but one thing about the wooden shoes in the Netherlands is that because it's a marshy area, if you're a very large man and you have, big feet and you're stepping in the marsh, you're sinking. They actually almost help you to float. So they help you to stay on the surface of the muddy bog because a lot of people don't understand that the Netherlands are actually a marsh. They're actually boggy. And so it helped that they wear them in the farm, they help them in the gardens, helps them when they're doing construction in those areas. They will often wear them in those environments because of the landscape. And so to hear kind of what they were utilized for, I always thought that they were just kind of a decorative piece that you would wear them and, you know, um, but to understand truly what it is and understand how naive, even though I've traveled the world and seen many things, how naive I was about certain things. It was really cool to see and experience those types of items. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up. We're at 10 o'clock here in about, actually, I don't think Coin Crew is going live. I think the shop is closed. They are preparing for Tulsa. So I don't know if they're doing something Tulsa based or not. If you guys know, let me know. I don't know if they're streaming today. I know the shop's closed. I know they're not doing anything like that. They may be doing, there may be different channels doing Tulsa preparations because the Tulsa show is next week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. Yeah, I know they're off, but I don't know if they're doing something. But again, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. Later on today, as I get more photos and stuff put together, I may do a stream. Coin Crew is not streaming today. Outstanding. Okay. So go check out. We'll find out if somebody else is. There's probably somebody else streaming. So let's go find somebody who is and send them over that way. Um, I might come on a little bit later and do a piece specifically on the Netherlands because I didn't get that to it now. I might do some stuff specifically coin related about Europe. Um, it just kind of depends. I've got a lot of laundry and housework stuff to take care of. Again, back to normal life tomorrow. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for coming in and listening to me and let me share the adventures with you all. Again, next week, we're going to kind of get back to the coin thing. One thing I am going to be talking about next week, probably on Sundays, we do our chit chat and we kind of just talk about whatever. But one thing I will be doing on Saturday is I'm going to be going over the Tower of London. Now, the Tower of London had a mint, and there's a lot of history. There's a lot of coinage. I'm going to talk about some of the history of London numismatics. I'm going to be talking about some of the items that were there. We're going to be looking at some of the coinage. I'm going to talk to you and show you some of the items that I took of the little Tower Mint museum that they have there. Talk about some of the things that I saw. Talk about some of the major people in U.S. history that had numismatic counterfeiting combating expertise in that time frame and some of the people in American history that were in England during that time frame that utilized their knowledge of numismatics to help counterfeiting, not only in the Tower of London in that mint time there, but also when the U.S. Mint started here in America, and some of the lessons that they brought over and some of the things that they took over to help early counterfeiting and prevent that. So, a lot of good information. We will get back to numismatic history. So, thank you for letting me take this weekend to talk about non numismatics, talk about a fabulous trip. I want to give my wife a huge set of kudos. She coordinated the entire event, all the excursions, the travel, the itinerary. She did absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have been able to enjoy the trip without the work that she did, the effort that she put in, the times, the details, knowing where we needed to be, understanding what happened. I give huge kudos to my wife because she made this trip one for the memory book. She made one to remember. And if it wouldn't have been for her, I don't think I would have been able to let loose and enjoy myself as much as I did. I get really intense when it comes to travel. I need to know where things are. I need to know how things run. And she, she bared with a lot of me during this time frame. So to my wife, love you to death. Thank you for all your kindness and your graciousness during this time frame, during this journey of a lifetime with me. I thank you so much. I do. All right, folks. Be well, be blessed. Take care. And you know what? I'll see you in the streams. Have a wonderful day.